literally millions of people are facing starvation in Afghanistan. Millions of people facing imminent starvation. People who have a little bit of money can't go to the markets where there is food to buy food for their starving children because the banks are shut. They can't get access to their money. Where's the money? In New York banks. The U.S. refuses to release to the people of Afghanistan their own money. Banks are supposed to be fiduciary institutions. You place your money in them with the assurance that it's yours to attain when you need it. Not in this case. The U.S. government has stepped in, not just in this case, others too, to block people from getting their own money. Now, there is a pretext for this. The pretext is we have to assure that victims of 9/11 have a right to compensation from Afghans who had nothing to do with 9/11. The rural people of Afghanistan who were starving had nothing at all to do with 9/11. In fact, those with good memories will recall that the Taliban offered total surrender, which would have meant handing over to the United States the suspects in the 9/11 attack, the Al-Qaeda suspects. And remember, at the time, they were suspects. The FBI informed the press months later that they suspected them but didn't have definitive evidence. But the Taliban offered to turn them over. The U.S. reaction was, we do not do surrenders. Romney, echoed by George Bush, Rumsfeld, echoed by George Bush, W. Bush. Well, now the Afghan people have to starve to death because we hold their funds. And there are other things happening in the world. So, thankfully, there seems to have been an agreement for a 2-month reduction of fighting in Yemen, the worst humanitarian disaster in the world, according to the United Nations. The Saudi government, which is the main force responsible for the disaster, along with the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, Saudi Arabia had been blockading, in fact, intensifying its blockade of the only port in which food and oil can be imported into the starving country. The official death toll last year was 370,000 people. The actual death toll is unknown. Again, the United Nations warns that hundreds of thousands of children are facing imminent starvation. The Saudi and Emirati air forces cannot function without U.S. equipment, U.S. intelligence, U.S. training, U.S. repair parts. We were assisted by Britain at a lesser level, a few others, but the U.S. is in the lead. Well, these are things we can change. The things that should be uppermost in our minds always are, what can we do? What can we do about suffering, misery, major problems in the world, whether it's existential problems that threaten the existence of the species, like global warming and nuclear war, or whether it's the terrible, miserable suffering of people of Ukraine under brutal, violent aggression by the Russian army, or people starving to death in Afghanistan or in Yemen. We can mention other things. But what can we do about all those things? That's what we have to be asking ourselves. That's what should be in everyone's mind.